Okay, so welcome back to GAA Fan TV. My name is Aaron. I'm joined here by Daragh Kelly from DKsports.ie and Patrick Sharkey from GAA Zone Podcast. We're here to review all the games from the weekend, all the big talking points across all four divisions in men's football, and obviously touch on the under-20 championship and obviously, some games in the minor championship as well. I suppose, first of all, lads, what was it like to have inter-county football back on TV? I suppose, Patrick, will come to you first.
Oh, well, you're asking the Donegal fan first, so I obviously think there's going to be a bit of positivity. But yeah, look, it's good always, especially against your local rivals. It's always good to get a win, and just in general, for people, just for the mental health of the nation, it's good to see all these teams come out, and yeah, it's just it's it's good to have it back in all these conversations because there's been so kind of much debate since March whether it's going ahead or not, and then now we're here watching inter-county football, and there was a wee bit of hurling, so yeah, I can't complain.
And what about yourself, Darragh? Like, what was it like to? You were saying there, obviously off camera, you were watching loads of matches at the same time. So,
Yeah.
what was it like
Yeah.
to be watching everything?
Yeah, no, it was good. Definitely a change from the usual where I'd watch a bit of the Premier League on the weekend. Good to see the Meath Miners get the win, of course. Just to even see Meath back in action in Division 1. I know we didn't get the win over yourselves, but just good even to watch some of the other games as a neutral, the likes of Mayo and Galway, even some of the under-20 games. Yeah, it was great, and great to have a lot of them on TG Car as well. So yeah, very happy with it.
Yeah, no, definitely. There was so many matches on all over the place. It was hard to keep up with all of them. Obviously Mayo with an incredible win there against Galway. That was I don't think anyone was really expecting that, because obviously, Galway coming in as favourites, Galway pretty much talking the talk with Jim McGuinness coming in and all this, and Mayo just go out and absolutely hammer them. So yeah, Patrick, what did you make of that?
Yeah, big shock, but Joe Brawley said Mayo are a lottery draw. One day they could be top of the world, other days, they could have a bad day, and I think that was I think that just proves Joe Brawley right. Mark Moran, fantastic performance. I don't think probably one of the best GAA debuts ever, maybe, considering the way he came out, with them. Yeah, and he dominated the show, and I thought, fuck Connor Loftus, very, very good player in midfield. I seen you put him in your team. No. The GA put him in their team of the weekend. So yeah, it seems to be very good. And maybe like Galway, but I do think Galway are going to come back stronger in the championship, and they have their safety secured. And yeah, look, I don't think it was just it was good. It was a good game to watch, and but I wouldn't say Mayo are all Ireland contenders just yet. They need to maybe championships the real talking points, but definitely, if you're a Mayo fan, you'd be delighted. And thankfully, the Galway fans didn't have to listen to the Mayo fans yesterday. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, it kind of was mad watching the whole thing unfold. Like, obviously, Patrick, obviously there was much talk there during the week with Jim McGuinness, taking a training session for Galway. And obviously what I found interesting was actually Padraig Joyce kind of coming out before the game in an interview, and he was actually saying, this doesn't change anything, no tactics are changing. He's just a performance coach. Do you think that him and being there and the whole footage going all over social media, do you think that actually put more pressure on Galway in that game, and that could have been maybe one of the reasons why they were actually so slow out of the blocks?
I don't know. Even if McGuinness didn't come in, Galway were going to be favourites for that game if you based it off league performances. Mayo, yeah, look, they aren't as the same high as they were last year, but look, they're performing well, and Mayo, went out and played to their peak yesterday, and fair play to them. But Jim McGuinness wasn't on the touchline, but maybe I don't know, maybe they might have felt yeah, but he's a good motivator. Never mind just a tactician. So I don't know how that even panned out. But you know what? Maybe it did put pressure on them. Maybe it did, or maybe But I'm under the feeling that Mayo just outclassed them. I don't really think there was too much pressure on Galway.
And Darragh, would you still have them as All Ireland contenders? Do you think? Do you still think they're You know, because obviously a lot of people had them in the top two, top three teams in the country. So would you still kind of rank them up there after that
Who
defeat?
Galway is it? Yeah.
Yeah, Galway.
It'd be hard to see if they bounce back well. And they obviously had a great league campaign, but I know with Mayo, you know, they never seem to get relegated from Division One. They always just manage to stay up. So I was seeing actually, I could see a strong Mayo performance coming, and I actually gave a prediction during the week. I actually predicted Mayo to win, even though I said I'd put my money on Galway through the form, but just based on Mayo and the way they can just sometimes turn it on, you know, big performances when it needs to happen. So yeah, potentially if maybe they bounce back, you know, it was very, very hard defeat to take. But like I said, they've been phenomenal up until then. So it's very hard to discredit them for all the work they put in, before that. So yeah, I would be too quick to write them off.
Yeah, no, definitely. Like, they were still one of the informed teams before the lockdown. Like, so you definitely expect them to respond, most definitely. You know, going into next weekend. Obviously moving on to the Dublin Meath game. Obviously that was fairly close in the end. I suppose, Daragh, would you be impressed enough with that performance by Meath compared to, you know, some previous games with the Dubs? Because obviously, you know, normally it's kind of one-way traffic when Dublin beat Meath, but this time around it was actually quite close.
Yeah, like I know both teams are missing a lot of I know both teams are missing a lot of players, but Meath were missing quite a lot as well. I think it was a stat. I think 7 out of the last league game could have started. A lot of young lads coming in, the likes of Owen Harkin making his Meath debut, even Colin Hickey there, at fullback playing, another young lad, the likes of Shane Walsh, Jordan Maris, and even put up that scoreline against Dublin was very, very encouraging. But I know I probably killed a bit of momentum there at the last water break when we were looking very promising, but we just couldn't get that score to level it. But yeah, fairly happy with it. But I think Andy McEntee himself saying we need to win games, and it isn't good enough just putting up a good performance and coming close, because at the end of the day, it doesn't put any points on the board, and you don't get anything out of it, you know.
Yeah, no, like I think Meath were, you know, almost a better team in many ways. Like, they had a load of goal chances at times. Stephen Cluxton making 1 or 2 saves. Like, it was definitely they definitely had a great chance of winning that game. And another day they might have, especially with some of Dublin's players being missing. Who would you say, Daragh, would be your man of the match in that game? Would it have been Shane Walsh, Brian Menton maybe, or maybe even one of the Dublin lads?
I would have probably given it to the likes of Dean Rock there. I think he proved critics wrong. Well, not a lot of people seem to think he's overrated and stuff like that, and I'd have to disagree. You know, he shows great leadership, and he drags Dublin through the dirt sometimes if they're in a sticky situation. But in terms of Meath, I thought the likes of Thomas O'Reilly was very good, especially his free taking. Maybe he could improve a little bit from play. You know, there's a few shots there, but in terms of free taking, and Meath, we've been looking for a good free taker for quite a while now, and he looked very, very good. So there's some positive takes from that. But yeah, Shane Walsh played very well. Obviously Cluxton denied him a great goal opportunity there. But yeah, probably have to give it to the likes of Dean Rock there, who performed very well for Dublin.
Yeah, and I suppose as a neutral, Patrick, obviously watching on as a Donegal fan, I mean, if things go to plan for both Donegal and Dublin, they'll obviously be meeting in an All-Ireland semi-final potentially. So do you think that Dublin actually are quite beatable this year? Because even on the Sunday game last night, they were really clutching at straws to try and find ways that, you know, Dublin are, you know, on the downfall. But like, where do you see it yourself?
Yeah, look, Dublin, you know, it's hard to know about Dublin. They kind of, the saying goes, when the going gets tough, the tough get going, and Dublin are quite a tough team, you know. And I don't know if we'll be ready, but like, it's probably our best opportunity to beat Dublin since 2014. You have McCafferty out, you know, you have German Connolly gone, you have Daly gone, and like, there's a bit of changes going on, and you know, the age profile of Dublin, they're getting into their 30s now, but they're I think they're more beatable. But yeah, I still, you know, I still think Dublin might be slight favourites, but it's hard to know that, because you know, we obviously will have good young players. You know, you seen Pater Mogan yesterday, you seen Oisín Gallen, you know, so maybe, you know, if you add them on the mix with probably Michael Murphy and Paddy McBurdy, who'd go among the top forwards in the country, it could definitely not be ruled out, you know. And yeah, hopefully we could see a repeat of 1992 or 2014 potentially, but I wouldn't rule it out. But I still think Dublin are slight favourites.
Yeah, I suppose to kind of back up what you were saying there as well, like Dublin with 8 points on the board, and they could easily be in a relegation battle. They could have easily been beaten by Monaghan earlier in the year. Could have been beaten by Donegal. Could have lost to Kerry as well. Just seemed to somehow drown out results in those games when it looked like they were going to be beaten. Obviously, you were touching on Donegal quite a bit there. Like, what did you make of that win against Tyrone? Because although it wasn't the best, it wasn't the most entertaining game in the world, it still was a victory for Donegal and, much needed as well.
Yeah, look, it was a much needed one, especially to keep the Division 1 status. We don't want to become a yo-yo team. But, yeah, look, I think Tyrone, obviously, I don't think we were at our 110% either, with, we didn't have their full squad out. But you look at Tyrone, too, they're definitely weren't that strong. The Peter Hart didn't start among others, and I definitely it's going to be a big one, and I think it's going to be a completely different story. And I think Tyrone will be stronger, so will us. So I still can't see it's not going to be another one for Donegal. It's definitely probably a 50-50 tie, I think, but probably helps the Cathal McShane's out. That's definitely going to help us maybe push on. I think that might give us a slight edge, but we're probably by a point or two, but we're definitely not going to, maybe even penalties, in the current structure, but definitely not a convincing one like yesterday.
And do you think actually that Tyrone might actually potentially get relegated because, Monaghan are playing Meath in the final game if it does go ahead, obviously, and if Monaghan beat Meath, let's just say, and then Mayo play Tyrone and Mayo beat Tyrone could actually get relegated. So do you think that actually might be a serious possibility for Tyrone?
Yeah. Well, as I'm saying, you don't know what kind of Mayo is going to turn out in McHale Park, and if you look at, it's not so much that Mayo perform quite well in McHale Park. It's more the fact, they have their fans, probably one of the loudest fans in the country. If you've ever been to a game in McHale Park, they are quite loud and stuff, and that kind of stirs them on. Like, so you don't know what it could be like, and you don't know how you could be going.
Any fans there anyway?
There won't be any fans there anyways. Like, that's the thing. Like, so that's what I'm getting to. So I'm just thinking maybe, but I don't know. No, like I probably. I think Tyrone are gonna win it. Not what he called, or no, they'll get a draw, but that would probably, and due to the way the score difference and whatnot works, Mayo will probably go down for like the first time in over 20 years.
Yeah. I have a sneaky feeling Tyrone are going to win that as well for some reason. I think, obviously there's a lot of praise on Mayo at the moment, and I think Tyrone will probably go in there, be very defensive, and probably just grind it out. But I suppose, yeah, we'll kind of have to wait and see. So yeah, Daragh, who do you reckon then will be the league champions then going into the round of fixtures for next weekend?
It'll be a tough one, honestly. It's gonna be hard to decide. Like, you're looking there for Galway beforehand. I think you have a few teams in the running now. I think Dublin are looking too much as a Meath man. All I've been looking at is next to Monaghan games. I haven't even really been looking at that upper end of the Division 1 table. But yeah, it'll be interesting. I have to see anyway. But like I said, the Tyrone and Mayo game will be very good to watch. But as for champions wise, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, and I suppose I'm not sure. Like, I think obviously, Kerry are playing Donegal. Like, and if Donegal were to produce a bit of a shock against Kerry, and then Dublin get the win versus Galway, I think Dublin will finish on top. So we'll have to wait and see how it all pans out.
Donegal looking very strong anyway.
Yeah,
great performance there. So I wouldn't put it past them to beat Kerry, but obviously Kerry are phenomenal too.
Yeah. And I suppose on the flip side of that, like, you'd have to imagine Galway will bounce back as well. So it definitely will be an interesting one. I suppose moving on to Division 2, obviously, Patrick, you were saying, when you're on my podcast before about kind of Armagh maybe being like slightly overrated and whatnot. So I'm curious to know, like, what did you make of their performance against Roscommon? Because they look good at times, but in the end, probably that bit of experience for Roscommon probably you know, that
Yeah.
probably made the difference really.
Yeah. They maybe made a few bad tackles, you know, which might let them know. But an overall good performance, you know. Rian O'Neill, Oisin O'Neill, both of them actually played quite well. Now it is Division 2, bear in mind, but they played well, and you can only beat what's in front of you. And I thought actually probably one of the better perform. And surprise, I'd actually give Rian O'Neill a man of the match for the way he played. But Roscommon defending the penalties, that just killed off Armagh's momentum. Definitely think that would kill off. Yeah, so once they kind of didn't have the momentum through that penalties, and you know, Roscommon, they're nearly the Man United of the GAA, but the way they won it by penalties. But look, whatever. And often you find it. Do you know what I think? Often underage coaches tell players, go for points and goals will come. Well, games like that tell you, go for goals and points will come, because it was goals that won that game for Roscommon. Like, say all you want about points, like, and I think it was definitely shows people a message, you know, that points definitely isn't best thing there. But yeah.
Sorry, Patrick,
Yeah.
who did you give as man of the match there for that game, Daragh and Roscommon game? Rian O'Neill, who you're calling overrated. I'm sure there's gonna be lots of people in the comments now tearing you in for that one. A lot of Armagh fans.
Yeah.
The Yorkshire Army coming in. Yeah.
Credit is where credit is due. Credit is. Yeah.
I think you're lucky Donegal won, you know. If you had a good bit more slack.
Yeah. Well, in fairness, I was saying they might lose to Derry, but I don't know. I'm gonna try stay by that prediction, but sure, we'll have to see. Daragh, like what did you? Go ahead.
Yeah. I say Derry will win it, but going to Daragh.
Yeah. So like, what did you make of Kildare and Cavan? Obviously, that was fairly entertaining, and I suppose there's a likelihood that Kildare might meet Mead, you know, in the semi-finals, and the likes of Jimmy Hyland, Daragh Kirwan looking very good in that game for Kildare. Like, they certainly have a lot of options, you know, kind of coming into the end of the league there. So what did you make of Kildare?
I didn't manage to actually see the game there on Sunday now. Like I said, I watched about 5 games on the Saturday. So yeah, but obviously, you know, Kildare, I've always said since the start, even before the fixtures this weekend, that they're always going to be, you know, a tough challenge for Mead when we do hopefully play them. So yeah, obviously they had a convincing win there over Cavan. I actually was rooting for Cavan, but yeah, it'll be a good game anyway. You know, with Mead on the down and probably Kildare on the up. It'll definitely be an interesting match if it does go ahead in the Leinster Championship. But yeah, definitely Kildare looking strong, so it's probably not too great for us.
And Patrick, obviously, Fermanagh got relegated in Division 2. I mean, it looked like going into the game, obviously there was talks about them potentially, you know, having to forfeit the match. They were talking about, you know, not having enough players, not having a full panel. In the end, I actually think they made a good stab of it in the end against Clare. Like, it was actually a pretty close game, considering Clare had the likes of, you know, Gary Brennan back in the team and whatnot. So what did you make of that game yourself?
Yeah, look, I don't think the fixture should have went ahead. You know, if the circumstances in Fermanagh, you know, I think if it was maybe one of the bigger counties, your Dublins and Kerrys of the world, there might have been a bit more uproar about it to force the GAA to postpone it, you know. But look, Fermanagh gave a good appearance of themselves, you know, and they only lost by 4 points. They didn't have their best players available, and they had a lot of young lads playing, you know. And I think yeah, it was definitely a very good game for them, and I think they should definitely have their heads held high, and you know, maybe, you know, if they get on the right, and I think 2021, if they fail to get relegated, if they fail to get promoted, they can definitely be strong contenders for the Tatlin Cup, the second tier competition. But look, you know, yeah, I do. Like, I make fun of Fermanagh from time to time, but look, at times like this, now I do have sympathy with them, and look, hopefully, you know, they have a strong finish to Division 2.
Poor Fermanagh, like, what did they ever do on Donegal?
Just hates any other team than Ulster.
Yeah. Yeah, look, listen, I mean, it would be close in that game versus Down. I would fancy Down to get over the line against Fermanagh, but staying on that topic of Down anyway, I mean, what did you make of the situation with Leitrim? Obviously, Leitrim, forfeiting the game. Bit of a strange situation. Like Down are obviously awarded the points. Like I think they would have won the game anyway. But like what did you just make it a bit? A bit of a weird situation. I suppose Daragh, like we'll come to you first on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of opinions on it, and even probably heard Pat Spillane giving his point of view. You really don't know until you're kind of different counties, different circumstances, the likes of Leitrim there, these players are amateurs. You have to remember at the end of the day, they have to go back, they have to see their families, they have to work as well. A lot of pressure on them, and especially if they have to travel and stuff like that. So I don't think we should be criticizing them. They're not the professional athletes. They don't have the luxury of going into self-isolation by themselves or getting paid so much a week to do this. They're doing it for the love of the game, the love of the parish. But obviously it's unfortunate to see Leitrim fold. But at the end of the day, I think during these times you have to look at safety first. So yeah, it's an unfortunate situation. Probably Down are, happy enough with the points, but yeah, it's obviously not nice to see at the same time.
And I suppose, Patrick, what was your opinions on that?
Yeah, the fact that it was late notice, the GAA were basically forced, have no choice of postponing it. Maybe Fermanagh said it about a week beforehand about their situation and all the rest. Like, so maybe that was a little bit up in there. Like, but if Fermanagh maybe told the GAA late notice, they would have had their game postponed too. Like, I think no, I do gotta feel sorry for Leitrim, and they probably don't have the best squad depth. At the end of the day, they are the smallest county in Ireland, so they can only do so much. But look, it's it feels unfortunate for Leitrim, and I thought it was a little bit nasty, the comments made by the Tipperary football manager, that it kind of took away the importance of the league. But that's that, and maybe Leitrim might beat Tipperary next weekend and Carter Shannon and give Tipperary their lesson, but we'll see about that.
Yeah. Well, look, listen, like my granddad was from Leitrim, so Terry Hyland, if he wants to give me a call, I'm more than available. I'll jump in midfield. I'll go and goal. I haven't played, in county football in years, but like no bother, I'll definitely jump in there. I suppose, Daragh, obviously there was a game in Division 4 where, and I know you didn't see it, I didn't see this either. It was Wicklow beating Antrim 7-11 to I think 8 points or something like that. In the end, it was some mad victory. Obviously, if Wicklow beat Wexford in the opening game in Leinster, they'll play Meath in the first match. Do you think even there might be a slight chance of an upset there, that Wicklow might actually be able to pull off a miracle there, or what do you think?
I don't reckon so, especially going off Meath's performance against the Dubs. Now, whether that's because the Dubs were, I know, probably not up to their normal standard, but for us to put up that many scores against ourselves, it's a problem we've had in the past, getting the points on the board. So no, I wouldn't necessarily. I think we have a few lads to come back. We're obviously missing the likes of Conor McGill, McMahon, lads who are involved in the senior championship there for us out, and Gael Columkill. So with them coming back and probably a few other additions, I wouldn't be too worried. But at the same time, I wouldn't underestimate Wicklow too. Great victory for them. So yeah, I wouldn't be too bothered as a Meath man, but you never know. Look what could happen.
And I suppose, Patrick, what did you make of the under-20 semi-finals? Obviously, Kerry were missing a load of players, and Galway kind of capitalised on that. And then I suppose, the likes of Kieran Archer, Lee Gannon, Mark Lavin, outstanding for Dublin in their win over Tyrone.
I'll look at it. They were like, Tyrone held them on the ropes. They were on leading for a good chunk of the game, but the way Dublin came back and just absolutely, the way they performed against them, was unreal. It's almost like a replica of the senior teams, kind of the way Mayo were last year. From the under-20s perspective, I think their dominance might last an extra few years. Judging by the way they played, and a strong Tyrone team too that beat us in the Ulster final of the under-20s. And obviously Daragh Canavan and a few others were good for Tyrone, but Kieran Archer, perhaps one of the best young forwards in the country. If he was from most other counties, he'd be on their senior panel now. But I definitely think it was a good one for Dublin, and next week should be a real popcorn game.
Yeah, no, definitely. It definitely should be interesting. I fancy Dublin to get over the line against Galway anyway. I think if it was against Kerry and Kerry had a full squad, I still think we would have won, but I think it would have been a lot closer. I suppose, Daragh, like, what do you think in going into that final? Who do you reckon will win it?
It's a very tough one. Brand ambassadors on both sides there. No, but joking aside,
Little plug.
yeah, yeah, with the likes of Tom McCullough there and Sean Foran, and maybe one or two others we'll have to see coming up to the final. But yeah, you'd probably have to fancy Dublin, especially after fighting back against a strong Tyrone team. But Galway as well to beat Kerry, as well, looking very strong. So I wouldn't put it past them to pull it off too. But yeah, especially after the minors last year when they lost to Cork, in the final. They'll definitely be looking for a bit of vengeance. I think a few players from that team will be playing as well. But it'll definitely be a great game to watch, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it does go ahead too. So yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. Hopefully it does anyway. I mean, we'll have to see what happens. By the time this video is out, like, I don't know, the championship could be cancelled. So we'll have to wait and see. But hopefully not anyway.
Yeah,
and I suppose Daragh, kind of just to finish up, obviously the Meath Miners getting that win over Dublin, I suppose it's not often as a Dublin fan we suffer a hammering to Meath, so I'd imagine it was a happy day when you seen that anyway.
Yeah, no, it's a strong Meath side, and I've been following them a bit. The likes there of Frame, the full forwards, you've Conor Gray in midfield, and even a few other players, the likes of Sean Emmanuel coming into midfield, who I think is a year younger. But a very good win, and obviously the Dubs were looking strong. They weren't too poor, but that Meath side is something else. And we've always done well at minor level. I think we've always put up to ourselves. I think it's been between ourselves and Dublin. We've been neck and neck the last few years in minor. But happy to see me get a win anyway on Saturday. But yeah, I'd fancy them to go all the way anyway. Definitely to win Leinster and hopefully make it to the finals.
Yeah, I suppose, like, with Dublin, their record in minor championships has always been a bit weird. Like, they won an All-Ireland in 2012, but like, as far as I'm aware, I think that was their only All-Ireland since like the 80s or something like that at minor level. So it's kind of, their record can be a little bit odd at times, but certainly to lose to Meath in that kind of fashion was definitely a little bit worrying. But like, I think with the whole situation at the moment, I think, like, we've seen some mad score lines at the weekend. So no real kind of two surprises there. But yeah, look, listen, lads, I suppose we'll kind of wrap this up here anyway. Cheers for your time anyway, and yeah, look, listen, hopefully we'll have more to talk about next week anyway.
Let's pray.
Thank you